All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And we're going to wait just a few seconds, let people tag up with the live notification. Been kind of a snowy day up here, so a little late getting started today. Had to go out and kind of spend a little time with some power tools moving snow around. So we'll get started here in just a sec. Okay. All right. Well, what we're going to do today, yesterday we talked about kind of the intersection of the lifestyle of the entrepreneur, the fun, profit, freedom, and impact, and your mindset of life. The mindset, of course, is what we're going to be talking about in this series. And we covered the first variable, probably about half, maybe 2/3 of the content of the desire variable. So we're going to finish that off today and then move on into decision, which is the second variable in the mindset of life, the life operating system that basically guides you from here to wherever it is you're going to be going as an entrepreneur, or anybody for that matter. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And the desire variable that we talked about yesterday, you can go back and watch the video from yesterday, and that'll give you the bulk of what's involved in this thing we call desire. We're going to finish it up today before we head into the decision variable. So we're going to jump right back on to finishing up desire. Now, if you recall from yesterday, desire is the first variable because desire is your innate determination at your subconscious level of what it is that you believe you should be doing, but you don't really know it. That's why desire is so important. You have to get in touch with that which you desire. Now, a desire is a dream that has emotional significance. When you start compiling these desires, when you start making a list, you sit down and you take the time to focus on your dreams and you write down all your dreams, and then the ones that give you that emotional tingle, whether they're good or bad, you write those down, because all of those will combine to point you in a direction that you then consider as your possible purpose in life. But for the moment, desire is simply getting in touch with your inner self, that subconscious level of desire that just wants to come out and move you forward, that sometimes you just repress and don't think about. But there are some disciplines in this thing called desire. If you read some of the early Greek and Roman philosophers' works and some of the philosophers of the current day, desire sometimes gets a bad rap. It's oftentimes associated with whimsical behavior. And that's not what we're talking about here. You see, there's a discipline. In fact, there are 5 disciplines when it comes to this concept of desire. The first discipline is do no harm. Whatever it is that you desire, whatever it is that's causing you to really consider making a change in your life driven by desire, always consider that you must do no harm. And if you go back to what we were talking about in our Science of Getting Rich reviews, there you're on the creative plane. Do no harm. Always live in abundance. Always elevate other people to a higher state. And so that's the same concept here. Whatever it is that you desire to do and pursue and become, first, do no harm. Second discipline, inspire with your desire. Whatever your desire is, you don't keep it to yourself. If you can't share the results of your desire, the attainment of that which you desire with somebody else or the rest of the world, that's a desire that is probably not functional. And the reason I say that is because desires that you hide are nefarious. If you are hiding it, why? Is it that you lack the confidence? You lack the focus? What is it? So that's why I say you inspire by your desire. You select those desires that you can inspire others with as you move towards that which you desire to become. Okay? Now I'm going to borrow a little bit of Steve Jobs' quote here for the third discipline of the 5 of desire. It's be foolish, be hungry, but be real. You see, desires are based on dreams, and sometimes dreams, that's how we experiment with a reality that we don't own, but we think we might want to participate in. So it's real important that you don't constrain yourself. Don't put yourself in a box. When you're in that dream category, when you're just compiling all the dreams and things that you really want to do and wished you had done, it's your freedom. It's a risk-free opportunity to experiment. That's what dreams are. But when you get to that desire level, when you start getting those emotional responses, be foolish, be hungry, as Steve Jobs said, but be real. And your reality is going to change over time. And when I say be real, it's simply this. If you are realistic to an extent, not a constraining consent. What I'm saying here is be real, knowing what is possible for you if you look out beyond what you currently believe to be possible. In other words, go beyond your comfort zone and consider what you can achieve if you believe. That is a guideline for being real. You see, your desires, if they're not real, if they're not attainable, they're going to backfire on you and they're going to create reluctance to try again. So that's the third discipline. Be hungry, be foolish, be real. Now, the next one is, well, this is common sense. Your desire has to be congruent with where you want to go in life. But it's kind of a circular logic, because oftentimes you're trying to get in touch with your desire so that you can create your purpose, and that's fine. As you create that purpose and you start to see a direction in life that you want to go, start evaluating the desires that you accumulated to take you in that direction, and ask the question, are these desires, if I were to attain them, going to serve my greater purpose and my greater vision? So they have to be congruent. They have to fit the puzzle of life. Your mindset of life will be what takes you forward in life, and you want your desires to be aligned with that. And finally, the number 5 discipline is believe. Believe that your desires can come true. Believe that they will be valuable to you and to others. Those are the 5 disciplines of desire. And if you observe those 5 disciplines, it will keep you from having whimsical desires that lead you down rabbit holes and rabbit trails only to find yourself lost in the woods. So desire is a powerful way of getting in touch with where you want to go in life if you have the discipline to put those 5 elements into place. Okay, so that's kind of where we left desire. And you can go back and watch that other video. Now we're moving on to the next variable. You see, desire is potential energy. It resides in your mind. It resides in your heart. It's one of those things that you haul around in your head and you wished you could do it. But what really matters is putting desire into action. Now, there's a step between having the desires and doing the homework and kind of writing down all those things that you really want to do and then piecing them together. Getting to the next step, decision, is actually an action. Making a decision is taking action to move forward with your desires. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Now, in between this desire step and the decision step, you have to evaluate where your desires fit into your life. Now, there's a very simple way to do that, and it's the details are beyond the scope of these videos, but here's how it works. When you sit down and you list your desires, next ask yourself, why do I desire that? And what will I feel like when I attain that desire? Now, it's a feeling. Don't try to put too much logic onto it just yet. You have to feel what that desire means to you. You want to get in touch with that because you are going to ask another question. And it is, which of the 6 basic human needs, one or more, will this desire fulfill for me? Now, that's a step that is oftentimes neglected. And the only reason you're doing this is because that's the logic part. Okay? When you ask the why and what I'm going to feel like, that's not logic. That's just pure emotion. But to go to the next step, to make a decision and you'll see why this is important when we start talking about decision. You need to try to put these desires into the framework of the 6 basic human needs as they apply to you. And for example, what are those needs? They're popular. You've probably heard them, but here they are. Certainty, and of course the opposite of certainty is uncertainty. Then there's significance. Next is going to be change, and sometimes you will see these as variety or experiences. So change, variety, and experiences are really the same type of human need. You just want to change in your life, and that's something that oftentimes what drives people forward. Next, of course, is commitment or connectivity. You want to connect with people. It's relationships. You want to belong to something bigger than yourself. Okay, next is growth. You want to grow. Growth is important. It's part of the mindset of life. And finally, it's contribution. You want to contribute to the bigger world. You want to contribute to things that are beyond you. You want to be part of an organization, part of a movement. All of these things are extremely important. So you got certainty, significance, change, growth, connection, contribution. Take those 6 basic human needs and ask yourself, this desire meets which of those? And sometimes it's going to be more than one. It could be significance, it could be contribution. It can be both of those at the same time. All you're doing here is you're doing a logic check within your mind to really ask yourself how important and how significant and how valid is that desire, okay? The reason that's important is now the next step, decision. Now, when it comes to decision, a lot of gurus out there will tell you that you have to cut off all your options, that the definition of a decision is to cast off all other options and go blindly and energetically into a certain direction. You either succeed or you fail. It's kind of like Cortez at the shores of Mexico. Burn the boats, we're going to conquer or we're going to die trying. That's not a valid and reasonable decision when it comes to the entrepreneurial lifestyle. As a matter of fact, it's not really a reasonable decision definition for the vast majority of things that you encounter in life. So we're going to take a different approach. We're going to define what is a good decision. A good decision is a decision where you have peace of mind regardless of the outcome. That means whether you succeed or you fail, you have peace of mind knowing that you made the best decision you could at the moment. Now, what are we deciding about? You're deciding to pursue your desires. Now, those desires have not yet coalesced into a purpose. That comes later. Purpose is something where you're making a larger vision. The purpose is your impact on the world, and that's not where we're at right now in this mindset of life formula. We want to take your desires, do the emotional check, do the logic check, and then make a decision on which of those desires you're going to pursue. That decision has to be based on reality. It has to be based on those 5 disciplines that we just talked about. Your desires, if you follow those disciplines, if you do the fact check and the emotion check, then you're going to be at a point where you can make let's say it's an informed decision. And your purpose in this is to make a decision based on enough information and facts in your life. And, this isn't encyclopedic stuff. These are feelings. They're feelings, they're intellectual little voices in your head that are saying, yeah, this is what I want to do and this is why, and it just feels right. And then you put the 6 human needs on and say, yeah, if I achieve these, I'm going to grow, I'm going to contribute. And that kind of sparks some new thoughts and new enthusiasm. And then you start to feel, yep, that's the right direction. Then you make the decision. The decision isn't terminal. It's not like the decision where it's the only way you can go and you cut off all your other choices. This is a decision to move forward with your desires. And as you move forward with it into the next phases of the mindset of life, if it turns out that that really isn't where you wanted to go, it's still a good decision because you've got peace of mind knowing that you took that step based on valid, solid feelings about where you wanted to go. And when you get to the point where you say, I guess I've thought about it long enough, I want to make a change in direction. That's fine. You have the peace of mind to know you can do that. You haven't failed because you changed your desire. That's decision. And this definition is really out of decision analysis. It's out of a science of decision analysis. And it's more reasonable because as an entrepreneur, as you move forward in life, you are moving into oftentimes the world of uncertainty. And it's your uncertainty. There's different types of entrepreneurs, and I've discussed those in prior videos. You have organizational entrepreneurs and you have solo entrepreneurs. Now, most of us are solo entrepreneurs, and that's really the focus of what I do. You're oftentimes going into the unknown because you have yourself and you have the external resources that you can tap into. You're making decisions on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, the direction you're going in, and you're applying your intuition and your logic, and you're creating decisions, the outcome of which may go your favor, may not. But if you keep in mind that you want to make decisions based on the outcome giving you peace of mind, regardless of which direction it goes, then you're not constraining yourself by living on a scarcity plane. And dropping back once again to the science of getting rich, when you start thinking decisions are based on cut off all other options, you have descended right into the scarcity world. And when you go into the scarcity world, you start limiting your possibilities. It makes you operate at a lower vibrational level, so to speak. You have less opportunity that comes to you. You tend to see the negative, even though you don't see it consciously. And that's why you want to avoid those kind of decisions where it's all or nothing. It's this way or no way. No, this is the direction that I reasonably evaluated to be correct for me. That's the direction I'm going. If I get there and the door is locked, I'll find a door that's open. I'm satisfied with the fact that I got to that door. I have peace of mind, and I know that there's abundance in the universe. I know that I have the capability to move any direction I want. It's just a matter of making the change. That's why this definition of decision is so vitally important to your success as an entrepreneur. And it really doesn't get any more difficult than that. A decision is just that. It's a decision to turn your desires into action moving forward. Now, a decision is not the end game, of course. The very next thing we do with this decision is now we're going to check it against our values, our beliefs, and our attitudes. And that's the next variable. The next variable in the mindset of life is attitude. Now, the reason that I selected attitude as the variable is because all of these entrepreneurs that I studied and checked this formula against, attitude was a major part of what made them succeed or fail. And when they failed, they were pretty quick to identify their attitude. Now, attitudes are based on values and beliefs. And sometimes you really have to give serious consideration to what's underlying your attitudes. But when we make a decision to move forward, we will now encounter a little pushback from the subconscious elements that are lying down below in that values and beliefs and experiences that we've been programmed with over time. These desires percolated to the top of our mind because we opened our mind to dreams and we started feeling the emotional engagement. We categorized those as desires. We evaluated them, and now we're making a decision. There's going to be a pushback from your subconscious mind. It may not come in the form of a loud voice. It may just be a quiet whisper. It may be, I don't understand why I'm not taking action. It could be any number of things. But knowing that you've experimented with dreams and desires and you're making a decision, now you're better equipped to understand that this is the natural way your subconscious mind is trying to protect you. You made a decision, now it's questioning the validity of your decision. That drops all the way down to your values and beliefs. the next step that we're going to be going into and we'll be talking about tomorrow is attitude. So I'm going to give you a little preview of that. Attitude is basically the things that cause you to take actions. Thoughts are things, right? You think, you have feelings, feelings turn into action, action produces results. Attitude is the generic term that I use to categorize that entire sequence of events. Values, beliefs, thoughts, feelings, action, results. Those results then feed back. They feed back to either affirm or contradict your values and feelings. And so when you make a decision based on these desires, now you're going to encounter your values and beliefs bubbling up from below to try to challenge you. In some cases, they'll bubble up and say, yes, this is it. We're going forward, full speed ahead. And I wish that for you. That's very oftentimes not the case, but if it is, great, go with it. But attitude is where a lot of people get stopped. They make a decision and they've done the very best they can to make a decision to move forward, but then the values and beliefs bubble up, the attitude gets in the way, and they shut it down. And then they go back to find more information, and they get stuck in the desire decision loop, and they never leave it. That's why it's real important to do the emotional check and the logic check on your desire so that your decision has some meat behind it. It's got some momentum. And so when we get to attitude tomorrow, we're going to go into the mechanics of how we create the attitudes that support the decision. A decision has to be supported by attitude. Values, beliefs, attitude, thoughts, feelings, execution, results. So that's a real important step. And this is where a lot of people have to dig into their background. They have to go back into their past. They have to be real and be honest. Okay. Now, dropping back to desire here for a moment. When you're doing this analysis, when you're looking at your dreams and you're feeling the ones that matter, the ones that scare you, those are the desires, right? Don't hold back. Be honest with yourself. Open up. Nobody's going to see your notebook that you're writing this stuff in, and you have to write it down. There has to be that kinesthetic connection between the paper and your mind, your eye. You got to do this. Nobody's going to see it. Open up. Be real. If you need to write volumes to do it, do it. If you can do it one line at a time, great. Be real, be genuine, be authentic with yourself. Nobody's going to see it. Because when you get to that decision, that's going to make the decision all the more correct and stronger. Then when you get to attitude, now you've got a much better chance of really digging in and understanding what's propelling you forward or holding you back. That's critical. So that's today's session. The second half or 2/3 of desire, the decision, very simple definition, very simple idea, and then tomorrow we'll go into attitude. So that's it for today. And okay, so we got Jim and Britt. Okay, well, hey, welcome, guys. Gal, Britt. I'm sorry, I just didn't see the picture down there. That's where we are today. Now, this all is going to come together because here's a preview of where the next step after attitude is. With your desires in check, with your decision made, with a thorough evaluation of your attitude and all the things that fall into that category, the very next thing we're going to encounter is purpose. These three things lead us to the definition of our purpose. That purpose is, we'll just say that's a temporary definition. And the reason I say that is because these things will give you more clarity about your purpose in life, what it is that you feel you're all about, what you're here to do. But it's going to change. And the reason it's going to change is the very next step after that. And I'm not going to reveal that until we get to it. Purpose is one of those steps where, again, you're asking yourself the question, why am I here? What is my desire doing to propel me forward? Those 5 steps: do no harm, inspire, Now, the three, that inspire thing, inspire with your desire, is all part of evaluating the validity of your purpose. And we're going to get to that right after attitude. So that's it for today. And I hate to break it off so short, but I've got to go out and remove some snow before it gets dark up here. And so I do appreciate you guys being on board. Jim and Brett, thank you. And we will see you tomorrow. As for the time tomorrow, I'm not totally sure when it's going to be, but I will put out about a 15-minute notice, and you'll see it then, and we'll go from there. All right. Well, thank you once again. Appreciate your attendance. And those who watch the replay, if you have any comments, questions, ideas, thoughts, lob them into the comment field, and I will see those. All right. Well, take care. Have a great day, and play with your desires and think about making a decision. We'll see you tomorrow.